Welcome back to Analytical Media. We are a consortium of clinicians, therapists, professors, and well-published peer-reviewed authors. Today's question or topic is the Queen of Canada, Romana Didulo. Romana is a Philippine-born immigrant in her 50s who claims to be the Queen of Canada. She claims to be the Commander-in-Chief of Canada. She also claims to be the head of state of Canada, the President of Canada, and National Indigenous Chief of the Kingdom of Canada. And most lately, she is now the living crown and custodian of Earth and humanity. The living crown and custodian of Earth and humanity. Now let's look at what else she claims. She claims to be an alien. She claims to be a shapeshifter. She claims to be, more specifically, an Arcturian alien shapeshifter who's on a divine mission from the planet Arcturia to save Earth. And she's claiming to be the divine ruler of the planet Earth. No, we haven't made this up or exaggerated this. These are her claims. She also claims, because she is an alien, she has supernatural abilities, including shape-shifting. She could be a dog, she could be a fly, she could be anyone at all, because she can change her shape when it suits her. Also, she claims to have cloaking ability. That means that she becomes invisible anytime she wants to. It would have come in handy for Romana, Queen Romana, Goddess Romana, whatever she goes by now. It would have been very convenient had she turned into the dog when the police came to arrest her, or became the fly on the wall and flew up into the ceiling vent when the police came to arrest her, or she took the shape of the police chief and sent everyone home, or perhaps just cloaked, where she becomes invisible and they can't arrest what they can't see. She also has the ability to erase memories from people. So hell, she might have been at your house last night partying, but you won't remember today because she took it out of your mind. So let's look at what we're up against here. She also can levitate, which is sort of the same thing as flying, though I would not have expected anything less than the ability to fly when she could do all these other things. She can change your eye color and pupil shape, and she can visit you in your dreams for healing, which is very convenient. Much less traveling. Save on energy costs at least. Now this is what she claims. This isn't a secret. She has been in Richmond in Canada, living at a old school with her followers, and they were recently arrested. I believe 16 or 17 of them were arrested, taken into police custody. They had been seen patrolling the grounds of this school with weapons, but the police could not find any weapons, but they found replica weapons, found some ammunition. I don't know if it was to the replica weapons, and as such was replica ammunition, or they found real ammunition. We'll let you know. She has had 50,000 followers on Telegram in 2023. 50,000 followers in 2023. She has raised lots of money. It was estimated that she raised $20,000 a month for her tours, where she would go around Canada in an RV and stop and meet 10 to 50 people, shake hands, and promise them things. She does have some good promises. She promises that she can cure every disease through her alien technology, specifically her med beds. Now the med beds, they're in Earth's atmosphere. They are orbiting the Earth now in spaceships, ready to land on Earth at the right time. And as soon as they do land, her followers are first in line to be cured of any illness, even to regrow missing limbs. Paralyzed from the waist down, no problem for the med beds. She had raised $54,000. This is not just the benevolent, good-hearted Queen of Canada. She has threatened to kill many people. If you participated in the vaccinations, it was a capital offense. You would be executed. And many other people were threatened with execution. Many. Dozens, hundreds. If fully enforced, many thousands. And her way of execution was not the good-hearted Arcturian shape-shifting reptile, which she is, according to her, but was pretty vicious. Like, she would want to take people up in helicopters and throw them out of the helicopter with no parachute, of course. She also wanted to take those sentenced to death, tie a rope around their ankle, lower them from the helicopter down into the swamp where the alligators and crocodiles could eat them. Not so good. Doesn't sound so good-hearted to me. Now, they were the people at Richmond at the school. They were arrested and kept, most of them, for 24 hours and released. And some of them were rearrested. Didulo was one of them. Or let me state that Her Majesty, the Queen Goddess of Canada and the whole planet Earth, was rearrested along with another follower. This is not a new story. If you haven't heard of Queen Romana, where have you been? This has been a story, a big story. It's covered everywhere. You may have seen her burning the Canadian flag, those of you who love your country. You may have seen her burning the Canadian flag. How does that make you feel? She has issued edicts which transcend any other governmental body on the planet Earth, and certainly all those in Canada. She stated that, telling people they no longer have to make payments on their car loan. They don't have to make payments on their mortgage. They don't have to pay taxes, which has resulted in lots of people being thrown out of their homes, having their homes reclaimed by the banks, having their cars reclaimed. No one knows exactly how many followers she has. She certainly has not worked a job in a very long time. Her followers face evictions, utility shutoffs. So if you don't want to pay that water bill or that electric bill or that gas bill, you don't have to. You just have to become a follower of Her Royal Majesty, the elevated, wondrous Wizard of Canada. Now, a few years ago, if you think, well, she's not so bad, I mean, what did she really do? Well, a few years ago, her and her followers took Her Royal Majesty to a police station in Canada. Let me look here if I can find the name of that station. Here it is. They went to Peterborough in August of 2022 and tried to arrest the police officers at the police station, whereupon they tried to actually get into the police station. They were barricaded out by the police men on the scene at the police station, and as a result, 6 of Romana's followers were arrested. So that was one known, well-covered event showing the nature of their violence. Don't forget, this was not a peaceful demonstration in the town square. This was at the police station where they tried to get into that police station and where they were eventually arrested, but not Her Royal Majesty, the Queen, the elevated, the Arcturian shapeshifter, the reptile, Romana Didulo. She left when it got a little too violent out there for her. She and her RV left. Her followers talk of violence, and as I said, dig a little deeper. There's so much written on a subject, there have been documentaries done. Now, according to her, she has a secret war against a cabal of elite, Satan-worshipping pedophiles that are controlling government and media, and she considers Donald Trump as a savior figure. And she believes that there is an adrenochrome harvesting group who are taking children's blood to extend lifespan. She claims Canada is a bankrupt corporation, which is controlled by the deep state. This aligns with many sovereign citizen beliefs. She asserts that the global financial system will translate to the quantum financial system, forgiving all debts and replacing fiat currency with gold-backed money. She rejects Canadian laws as illegitimate, claiming her royal decrees supersede them, and her laws are retroactive back to Canada's Confederation in 1867. She declares lawyers lack jurisdiction due to membership in the debunked British Accreditation Registry, or the bar. Promotes promissory notes and loyal money as valid currency, backed by fictitious treasuries, leading her followers to stop paying bills. And for the longest time, her and her close royal court traveled around in her RV, going from city to city with no permanent place to stay, until someone gave them a place in Richmond, where they have been nothing but problematic for the people of that town. In fact, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police opened a temporary branch office in Richmond to comfort the citizens of Richmond. It is certainly an interesting phenomenon, but not that delusions of grandeur are unusual things. That's not so interesting. It happens all the time. Most mental hospitals have one or two Jesus Christ as inmates, patients. But what is so interesting is that how could seemingly otherwise normal people, hardworking Canadian citizens, homeowners, how could they believe the claims of this woman? Well, obviously, she offers zero evidence. There's no evidence that she can do any of these things. There's no video, no claims that people have seen her shape-shifting, or change her eye color, or fly around the room, or get on a spaceship. Nothing. So it is an interesting psychological phenomenon. She believes in all of the conspiracy theories, every one of them, and has talked about them in her news segments she puts out almost every day. All these claims and no proof, no evidence, nothing that's even suggestive of evidence, and people are willing to believe it. Now, you may not believe it, but there has been a movement away from science, the scientific method, for years now. It started as the rejection of global warming, a concept that started in the 1960s, and evidence accumulated. Evidence was presented when the papers were published of global warming, but it was rejected by a political party. And all the things that produce global warming, the burning of coal, the release of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, which was measurable, it was all denied. It wasn't real, even though it was real. All the papers showed it. The evidence showed it was real. But because a particular political party was against it, it was rejected by many, many political leaders because it didn't tout the political line of the party. Science knew what was going on, and it published and published and published. And you can tell now. Has the weather changed? Is it hotter than it used to be? Drier in places than it used to be? Wetter in places than it used to be? Have you kept up with it? Evidence is there. There was so much evidence accumulating that that particular political party was much closer to accepting a new label, not global warming, but global climate change. That's pretty good now, and most of the countries in the world acknowledge it, but some political parties don't. Now we have Her Royal Majesty, the Divine Empress of the globe, making the most ridiculous, unsubstantiated claims. From Arcturia, she can levitate, she can change shapes, she's the savior of Earth, remember? Also comes from an infinitely rich royal family, but she can't take their money. She has to ask for donations from her followers. Where is the evidence? Let's see one video, even if it was made by AI, where Her Royal Majesty floats up in the air and addresses her subjects. Or Her Royal Majesty calls down spaceships and they land on the field out by the school and she goes over and sees them. Nothing. But I can put up with a delusional person. I can accept that happens. It's not the real issue. The real issue are the followers. How could anybody believe this nonsense? And it will remain nonsense until somebody proves otherwise. We need evidence, don't we? And when you go to your doctors because you have some very serious disease, and they tell you, they'll say, well, we're going to put you on this drug and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And it's been shown to be very effective. And you say, is that just your opinion or has it been studied scientifically? And they say, oh, it's been studied scientifically. Here, look at these papers. Peer-reviewed papers. Everything in there. So everything can be retested. And it is. It's always retested. Dozens of times or hundreds of times. Because everything that's in there, the drug is made available to be retested. Study groups are available. Everything's available. All the research is available. You have evidence. Or you could go to the guy at the bar who says, look, for $50, I'm going to sell you the cure. I am from another planet. And for $50, I'll sell you the cure for your Parkinson's. I'll sell you the cure for cancer. It's all the same stuff. It's in the same bottle. I'll sell it to you, $50. You're going to give him the $50. You're going to give him the $500. You're going to give him $5,000. Or do you want some evidence? Or are you going to say, hey, who did you cure with this medicine? And he said, well, I'll give you a list. Here's a big list of everybody I cured. Here's their phone numbers. Call them up and find out. I said, damn, I know that Carl Sinbad. I'm going to call him up and ask him. You demand some evidence, don't you? Shouldn't you? And then you give the guy the $5,000. You had it in the bank. You got $25,000 in the bank you saved up over a lifetime. And then a month later, you call him back up and say, I'm not any better. In fact, I'm feeling a little worse. And he says, well, sometimes you need 2 treatments. Do you have the extra $5,000? Yeah, give him the $5,000, take it. 2 weeks later, you're getting worse. You call him back up and he says, it's not uncommon. How much money do you have in the bank? Well, I got $15,000 left. Well, sometimes it takes 3 treatments additionally. So I just bring the $15,000, I'll give you the 3 bottles. And then 6 weeks later, it's over because you're dead anyway. What I'm saying is, you can't believe everything you're told. You need some proof. What's wrong with these people who offer no proof? The Queen of Canada, she offers no proof. Her followers demand no proof. What's going on here psychologically? We don't need to know what or the why, but we do need to acknowledge that it is happening because It is happening. Talk to people in Richmond. Look at your big news programs. There is someone claiming to be a reptilian shapeshifter from the planet Arcturia. And you're going to believe that without some proof? How about some pictures from Arcturia? You know? How about something like that? Don't you need some evidence? By the way, Romana claims that she went through a phoenix fire ritual where she was burned so all her ego would be destroyed, and she was in this high flame that she eventually walked out of, cleansed, and that made her, it removed her ego and her negative energy, which then made her the divine ruler of the planet. In 2020, she founded the unregistered, thus unofficial, Canada First Party in 2020, with anti-government QAnon-inspired goals like draining the swamp in Ottawa. Here in the United States, we don't want to drain the swamp in Ottawa. All we hear about are people who want to drain the swamp in Washington. I guess different country, got to be a different swamp we're talking about. So, to sum this up, on September 3rd, 2025, Didulo and 16 others were arrested by the RCMP. Now, if you're from Canada, you're going to know what that is. But if you're from America, just think Dudley Do-Right. Dudley Do-Right, he was with the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Now, I don't know if they were on horses like Dudley. He had a very pretty white horse. They have that nice red uniform. I don't know if any of that happened this time. There is a lot to be said for Canada. It did give you Dudley Do-Right, and it gave you Super Dave Osborne, and that's enough. If Canada never did another thing, that's more than enough, and I mean that sincerely. I have nothing but the greatest respect for Canada, the people. I had students in my class who were from Canada, university course. They actually were, their families were from India, and they had moved to Canada like 25 years earlier, the family. The children were born in Canada. And they were in a medical profession, not medicine, but a closely related field. Well, they were dentists, or at least the one was a dentist, and the other one was taking some courses before dental school, starting dental school in a few months. And they never bothered to get health insurance here in the United States because they would just fly home anytime they got sick. Because all the health insurance in Canada, all the medical treatment, it was free. It was cheaper for them to take a plane and fly back to Canada than it would cost them to buy health insurance in this country. Congratulations, Canada. Canada is a great place, clean. It really is clean. I was rewatching actually, the television show Loudermilk, and it's supposed to take place in the United States, but it was really shot in Canada. And that town looks so amazingly clean. You know right away that's not in the United States. Love the United States, don't get me wrong. However, you watch that show. First of all, it's a fantastic show. It is beautifully written, wonderfully written. It's worth watching every few years, like Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's a really nice show. But you look at the town, you look at everything there, it's really, really nice. Got no complaints. And I apologize. I apologize for our current political leaders causing all this trouble with Canada when they've done nothing but good stuff. Honestly. I mean, who would ever have thought that there would be such a disagreement for nothing? Accusation of Canada taking advantage of the United States. That's totally asinine and ridiculous, and most Americans don't believe it. Though the current administration does believe it. Canada has a lot of love for their country, and that's good. Canadians love their country. Well, if you love your country, you should dislike Romana Didulo because she doesn't want your country to exist. She wants it to be subservient to her decrees and her wills, and she claims it's illegitimate. So the latest news, she got arrested. We're talking about this at this channel because it has mental health implications right across the board. Either Romana is a shape-shifting, levitating, cloaking alien with a fleet of spaceships orbiting the Earth, or she's delusional or a liar. So we got delusions, we got lies, certainly it's a mental health concern. Either she's delusional or she's a pathological liar, which is also a mental health disorder, right? Because she claims this is all absolutely true. She claims it's true, but is it true? And now we look at the other concern, which to me is much greater. How is it possible that human beings, rational, supposedly, healthy human beings, could believe these outrageous claims without evidence? Remember Carl Sagan from PBS in the United States? He's been dead for a little while now. Still well-respected man. He said, extreme claims demands extreme evidence. If you're going to make these outrageous claims, you better have some really powerful evidence. We'll keep you posted on what's developing there, what the charges are, as long as it has relevance to mental health. And don't forget, the people who lost their homes and their cars and had their power shut off because they followed her decrees, these weren't poor people. We hear the argument, oh, we have to feel bad for these poor people. These weren't poor people. These were people who were qualified for bank loans, qualified for mortgages, and paid them. In some cases, they had their homes 3/4 paid for. They only had a few payments left for the car, but they stopped paying. Not because they were too poor to pay. They stopped paying because why pay if you don't have to? The Queen says you don't have to. Why pay? Also, the Queen has money. They call it loyalty money, which takes the place of the Canadian money. And you can go to them at any time and turn in some of that Canadian money for some of the loyalty money, which is the good stuff, the real stuff, according to Romana. You can turn it in. You know, sort of the acknowledged good money that you can use to buy a car in Canada, pay a bill in Canada, or the fake stuff that she can't even sell. She can't use it. You try to use that money in a bank, you're going to jail. Okay, well, I don't want this to be too long. We could go on forever, I suppose. Anyway, this is Analytical Media. We are a group of college professors, peer-reviewed, published authors, well-published, and clinicians of various kinds. I hope we've entertained you to some degree, informed you, educated you, and if we have, that's enough for me. It's enough for us. So we will see you again. I wish you the very best. And don't forget, if you have a Canadian flag, start waving it. I like that flag too. I like that red leaf. It's a nice looking flag. There's nothing I dislike about Canada. In fact, it is a really nice country. I've known lots of Canadian people. They've all been really nice people. I love the medical care in Canada. I love the fact that 2 dentists flew back to Canada for treatment because it was free, cheaper than our health insurance. So having said all that, I wish you the best. Hope I haven't bored you in any way. We are Analytical Media, and hopefully you'll tune in again and we can help you or whatever, entertain you or maybe raise your anger level to some degree. Irregardless, please check out the next video, subscribe, and good luck until we meet again.